Good morning, everybody. Today's the day that we're going to do the floors. It's April of 2020, and I bought my van used earlier this year, and it had been used as a cargo van in deliveries in Chicago, and the floor was very scratched up and very used. And I used Rust-Oleum spray paint and put on 5 cans, about 4.5 cans of spray paint, and I think that the floor looks amazing. It looks almost like new, and I really wasn't worried. I'm going to be putting flooring on top of it, and I really wasn't worried too much about anything, but I just didn't want the wear of whatever I was putting on top of it to cause any rust. So today will be the installation of, I'm going to put down a layer of insulation, and I'm going to use this Reflectix. And I'm going to put down a layer of the Reflectix. I'm going to get it in place. I'm going to use some foil tape to put it in place. And the plan is that I'm going to get it all laid down, and then I'm going to use it as a template to cut my plywood. So I got my day's project all planned out. Okay, that first layer, it's 16-inch, went down pretty easy, pretty fast. I taped it in one spot just to hold it in place. So super easy to work with. I bought a pair of scissors that I'm going to use just for this project. If they're any good later, I'll use them on more projects. But Reflectix is basically bubble wrap wrapped in foil. And it was easy to cut, and it was easy to put in place. I'm going to bring the Reflectix up to this little ridge right here, and because I know that's where my plywood is going to go for my flooring. Ta-da! Okay, now I've finished putting in the Reflectix, and there's just one last thing to do. I took out the tie downs that were in here, and I purchased bolts to go in there. So now what I want to do is I want to mark on my template here where that bolt is going to go in, because it's going to have a washer and it's going to hold in place the plywood that's here so that it isn't just floating. Although some people do leave it floating, I thought I'd like to tie mine down. So I'm going to go through, and each piece of plywood should have at least one on either side. And just in case you're wondering what size bolts fit in there, here it is. Let me see. I got these at Menards, and they're 8mm, 1.25 by 40 millimeter hex cap screw course, one piece, metric 89. So including taping, filming this, the whole project took about an hour. The Reflectix was, as predicted, very easy to work with. I used scissors when I needed, and a X-Acto knife on other areas. It's not perfect, but boy, it's good enough for me, and it's going to be good enough for just putting plywood on top. So I got my insulation and my template made all in one shot. That was really a time saver, but we'll see when it comes to cutting that plywood. Today it has been raining, and it's really quite damp, so I'm going to put off till tomorrow the cutting and the placing of the plywood and putting in the bolts. And okay, so I bought the pre-sanded plywood for my project here. This is going to be the subflooring. When you buy pre-sanded plywood, this side of it, you can see that there's the little footballs and stuff in there. And then on this side, it's really a very nice looking wood. Okay, I'm now done with the subflooring, and let me just recap what I ended up doing here. First thing I did was I laid down a layer of Reflectix. It's like a bubble tape, and I didn't know if that was going to add much in the way of insulation, but I did want to keep the board from rubbing on the ridges and stuff down below. And then I pulled out all the tie downs and replaced the bolt and put a new washer on because the bolt is a little bit, the head of it was smaller than the hole that was for the tie down for the last one. And then I used 3 4x8 sheets of plywood, and so the length of it goes in. So here's the first sheet, second sheet in the middle, third sheet in the back. That was the one that had the most amount of cutting to them. And they went down pretty easy. And all in all, I think it came out really well. I'm pleased with the result. It's ready for, I haven't really decided what I'm going to do for flooring. I might just put down a rubber mat, like an entry mat, that will come from the entry here, go across to where the refrigerator is, and then one that runs down all the way to the back where there isn't any, where you can see plywood would be covered up by the mat. So there it is. The subflooring is in.